everyone. Welcome. You're tuning in to Within the Quadrant and Behind the Witch's Veil. Tonight, we have a special episode. It's Friday the 13th. So, what is your favorite thing to do on Friday the 13th? Get scared, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But before we get started, I want to shout out to two birthdays that we have today. Happy birthday, Ashley. We missed your birthday on Wednesday, I think. We hope you had an awesome day. And for the Friday the 13th baby, happy birthday, Kurt. I hope you had an awesome day. Thank you for the conversation we had today. It was awesome. And we will get started. So we have, once again, the Kaha Paranormal team from Arizona with Medium Red and Misty. And then on the other half, we have SIPS, Spirits of Iowa Paranormal. We have Dane, Linda, and Kimberly. So thank you. So let's see. I do have a story that was really weird last night.
Are you talking about last night?
Yes,
that was really weird.
So we talked to the grandson of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Okay. And I'm sure you guys know who they are. So he was going to tell the truth about everything, the cases that his grandparents had.
We got to see one of the cases, like the case files, which was really cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
First time. So we was the first one to see it. So feel privileged on that. However, we did an hour interview. The first 6 minutes we started on Annabelle. And we was talking about Annabelle going around the country.
It was the part basically where you were talking about
case.
her being removed from the case.
Yeah. So we got kicked off after this.
Wow.
And Amy and I got back on. Okay. And it was going live. It says live and counting the minutes and everything. And we thought it was good. So Nico and I always like to do shorts. So we went in YouTube to do the shorts. It's only 6 minutes. And in YouTube, the video says 1 hour and 4 minutes.
Yeah. And the thing is, I was having tech issues like throughout the day. So I don't even know what was going on. I don't know if that has a connection to it, but it was just really weird the same day. Like, technology did not want to work for me.
Yeah, it was really weird. And when you play it, it didn't show Amy and I getting kicked off, but it showed the 6 minutes. That's it.
Yeah,
6 minutes.
I tried searching for the source files, local recordings, gone.
And we had our viewers contact us and saying
what happened,
that they were having issues. Even my sister, he was watching. It says we were live and everything, but they couldn't.
Well, the thing is, Chris McKinnell, the grandson, his people was saying they was trying to watch it and they kept getting kicked off. The ones who was watching us said the same thing. They was getting kicked off. So it's really weird to have 50 people watching you, but they all get kicked off.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know.
We don't know what it has a connection to. We can't confirm.
What Chris says,
because I do live in a haunted home, and my spirits here might be triggered from the last doll we talked about, which Nico knows. Yes. It was a little bit living in hell for a little bit.
Yeah.
For like a week or so, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But so we don't know if it has anything to do with that, if it has anything to do with that, that he's a psychic medium, right? Or just psychic, something like that.
He's a medium, just like his mom or his grandma.
Yeah, like Lorraine.
Nico's a sensitive, so we don't know if it was just combined with that or just the house spirits.
Yeah, it was
the house spirits saying, "Hell no, we're not discussing any doll ever again."
It probably was everything combined.
It could be everything, who knows? But it's just very weird and oddly if you've never had that happen before.
But he is coming on again. He says, "Let me come on again. Let's
Good.
see what we can do."
Praying that it
Yeah, I told him, I go, if it happens a second time, then this is something we cannot touch. I'm not going after the third time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys think? We have house spirits. I don't think it was Annabelle because she's in the New England right now. I think
she's
in
locked up
Maine.
right now.
But she's in Maine, traveling.
I don't think she is traveling right now.
No, she's in Ohio or Maine.
So I guess my question is, so how did you, first of all, this cool connection, how did you get that connection in the first place? Did you contact him? Like, how did that become a thing?
He is a very kind man. I loved meeting him. It's definitely like one of the people you want to meet, obviously. And you just reach out to him and ask for an interview, and he reached out to us within minutes.
Well, I go outside the box, okay? If you know me really good, I never stay inside the box. I'm always outside climbing out. Let me out of the box here. So I want to get somebody who knew about Annabelle. And I did come up with Tony and Jody, which is the daughter and son-in-law.
Right.
And everything. And
we decided not to go that route.
Yeah, we decided not to go that route.
We're not going to.
And I looked up the relatives, came up with the grandson. He had a Facebook and everything. I saw him on Facebook. I friended him. I messaged him and said, "Hey, I'm going to talk about Annabelle. She's hot, and your grandparents." And
just like everything, like they
okay.
really like all the files, they like all the cases they investigated. It's really like intriguing. And then we also got to find out that he was on some of the cases and the lead investigator with a lot of them. And I was like, oh my God,
Yeah. Yeah. So he just came on. He's a very, very nice guy.
Highly intelligent. Yeah.
Lives in South America. So.
Oh, wow.
I think is he living there full time or just visiting right now?
No, he's living there full time right now. So, yeah. So it was still it was cool, but I knew something was going to happen. I had a feeling that something is going to happen. This is an interview that I wanted to do for a long time.
After me and Nico did our last doll live, like on TikTok, people were contacting us because they were traumatized from Nico and I. They're like, never again, you and Nico spooky live. So we had to stop them. It hasn't happened since because people are just like, no, I'm not showing up.
Yeah. So it was weird.
Yeah.
Was that the doll you were talking about, Nico, before on the last podcast?
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm a sensitive. Like, I've seen spirits since it's been a small child. I think I told you guys that. I saw this doll crawl at me. This little tiny thing. It looks like it was the size of my newborn baby, basically. Because I had my baby next to me, and it was crawling at me. And it came back. It came and like pulled, because I can feel a physical touch from spirits. So I felt it pull the back of my hair, and then it like crawled away from me, and then crawled back at me. But it looked like something from like a Tim Burton movie. Like it looked like Coraline or something with like big eyes.
Wow.
And like crazy hair, and it was just crawling at you so fast. Mm-hmm. I just remember like grabbing it and like tossing it because I was like asleep, but I woke
kicking
up.
It.
I still felt it crawling over me, and Nico was telling me that he was feeling something crawling on him for the longest time. I'm like, that thing's evil. Get this.
So I have cats. And
I have a question. So can you kind of catch us up about your last podcast? Because I feel like you are what happened. So who is this doll? What's the connection to it? I want to know.
Nick, can I do the video on this, or do you have it? You probably have it more than I.
If you have it on hand, go right ahead. I would have to go to
Meredith. Yeah.
Oh Nico still has the doll. Okay, guys.
I know.
I do still have Meredith.
Oh, he's got it right there.
I went to join the live, and I had to tell Nico to put something over because I'm like, I'm not looking at it. I know what that spirit looked like, and it was not pretty.
It's funny. I have one that looks just
Did that
like
doll
that
just
too.
move?
Okay. Here she
Yes.
is. There.
I like music.
Well, let me
Oh,
see. Let me do
started
it
from the
again.
beginning.
Oh, wow.
There.
Excuse me.
Ah,
Excuse
yeah.
me.
Did that doll just move?
Yes.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Nice.
Wow.
that was Meredith.
Okay, so that night, guys, after I seen that, I seen something in the corner of my eye, like a dark shadow creature type thing crawling on my floor. Okay, we had to stop that because my baby woke up.
Right.
Okay. And so we closed it, shut it, said goodbye. I still saw something crawling on my floor, and I was telling Nico, I'm like, maybe I'm just seeing something, but I'm seeing something crawl on my floor. And we're thinking, oh, there's no way it can like really go through the screens, right? Like, not here. And Nico's like, I got it protected and everything. And then the whole thing happened with the attack that morning. And it was chasing my cats. And Nico goes, oh, it likes to chase cats. I'm like, well, that's nice to know. So Nico got it back over to his house. And then he did a ghost box session with it. And what did it say? I don't remember the exact words.
It said that it liked Amy. It wanted to play with Amy.
Yep.
Like,
Wanted to
used her name. Like, I sent her, like, the recording of it, and she's just like, hell no.
which is
Nope.
in your ear when you're asleep. And crawling at you, like you can see it full on move.
And then for context, after I got the doll, I put it in a blessed cabinet, and then it's sitting around iron. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm fine. It shouldn't do anything. And then for a week later, I wake up in the middle of the night and feel something like moving across my bed. And I have cats, and I'm sitting there thinking nothing weird about it. Like there's something light, like you can feel it walking across the bed. And then I'm sitting there thinking, those aren't 4 like feet. That's 2. What the hell is on my bed?
Wow.
And it felt like a toddler like stumbling across my bed.
That's like my
And
worst
then I
nightmare.
go like check the cabinet, and the doll's still in there, and I'm sitting there like, I don't like that. And then a few nights later, I have knocking outside of my bedroom window. I'm on the 2nd floor above our garage. It's an 8-foot climb to this window.
Holy cow.
And there's knocking on the outside, and I'm sitting there like, interesting. But it was supposed to knock. That was the thing that it would like. I was told like it's supposed to knock. You're supposed to hear footsteps. It giggles. And I was like, cool, fine. And so we go on and do this spirit box session. Like, hey, I got this haunted doll. Like, let's do like a seance and do it on live. It'll be fun. And then we do that. We get the movement on camera. It was the like 2 days, the day after. We're getting a ton of messages from people that like they woke up with scratches, like people felt like they were asphyxiating.
People were getting attacked in their sleep, like the way I mentioned, but not like they didn't feel like the physical touch like I did. And I had a bunch of people having nightmares.
Crazy.
Colleen, she
A
was
heavy. It was so heavy in the house, or my physical room, that I could not sleep.
Wow.
Because you just felt like something like I don't know if it felt like something heavy on top of you constantly.
Mhm.
Nico got sleep with a migraine to the point he was puking.
Wow.
I was out with a migraine for 3 days, and I was like, okay, we need to do something about this doll. But when I that much pain, like I couldn't even look at a light. I was in a dark room with a trash can next to me for 3 days straight.
It was so
And
bad.
once I kind of started feeling a little bit better, I reached out to one of my friends who almost exclusively works with like containing and like removing spirits.
Mhm.
And we ended up doing a 6-hour exorcism on this stupid doll. And then we had activity with that. But when I took the doll apart,
Oh, that's
it was
right.
filled with like teeth and hair inside the stuffing. It's a soft body porcelain doll from about the late 18, early 1900s.
Oh, nice.
And it was one of those things where it's like this doll was clearly made and had a spirit attached to it, not like
Absolutely.
a natural haunted object.
Okay, I got a question though. Why 6 hours though? That is like,
It
of course
kept
we
fighting.
okay because okay. So I don't know about your paranormal style though. Like we like to like debunk and stuff as much as we can, but also like a lot in history and stuff. But why? Like we've never kind of have you guys done exorcisms? We don't really do that
Yes.
route. So what
I
you guys
do
from Arizona?
exorcisms occasionally.
Out of curiosity.
So I did the Latin exorcism rite, which takes, I think, about an hour or two. But the issue I was having is that it kept jumping
You're good.
from my side through to my friend's house,
Yeah, it kept going like back and forth from me and his house.
trying to
And
keep
like,
the spirit in one place to do it. And then finally, we gave up on doing that, and I physically dismantled the doll, and then we took it out into the middle of nowhere at a crossroads, and I put it 3 feet down, and then consecrated the soil with holy water on top of it.
it was
And then
to the point
though.
where I've been always, I was brought up witch. Okay, I was raised witch. I was leaning onto my dad's Catholic roots and praying to the Archangel Michael every single night because that was the
Wow.
only thing that would give me enough quiet time, because I am highly sensitive, to go to sleep, because the spirit was going back and forth constantly, and it was not a nice spirit. It was a malicious spirit, and it just wouldn't leave me or Nico alone. It was like obsessed at this point, so we felt like that was the only option we truly had.
Yeah.
So did that stop, Nico? After you did that, did it sustain?
Yep, it stopped.
Okay.
I've had no activity from it. I kept the head as a souvenir.
Which is creepy.
Like a
Sounds like,
moral
yeah.
story to.
I felt like my house was heavy for a while afterward, but it was not as heavy as it was.
Okay.
Nice.
And I
went around and smudged
always
after.
talk to people about paranormal trauma, and how like even for a long time I didn't want nothing to do with spirits. I was like, I'm completely done. I'm like shielding myself, shielding my house. Like, I don't want to talk to spirits right now.
And I worked at a senior center, and some of our residents had those like soft body coat hanger, like life-size dolls that they would put outside their rooms. I sent Amy a video. This lady had one, and she was like, she would open her door and like move this thing like every 15 minutes and like repose it.
Oh my
And so
God.
when I'm doing my cleaning cycle, like I come back and the thing's moved, and I'm sitting there like, hell no. So I send her this video. I'm like 3 seconds away from going up to the chapel, getting holy water, and drop kicking this thing because no.
Well, have you guys ever seen calling Chrissy when Chrissy was talking about this? She was instant messaging me last night about it. Was it last night, Chrissy? It happened. I'm lost on
Yeah, it was
here.
last time.
It was last night. I was telling you about like Peggy, the doll that's at Zach Baggins Museum. It's the same thing. Like there's so many accounts of, if you're disrespectful to Peggy, when you go in the room, you're supposed to say, hi, Peggy. And when you leave the room, you're supposed to say bye, Peggy. And they have a spirit box in there that literally is constantly going when you walk in the room. And I know when I walked in the room, I was very respectful of the doll, obviously. And I'm like, I walked in, I said, hi, Peggy. And I said, how are you doing? And we got in the spirit box. Good. And I said, is Zach Baggins treating you well? No. I mean, I was like, she was a pistol, right? A pistol. Yeah, it was.
I don't blame the doll because honestly, I'm not a fan of Zach either way, so I don't blame
Yeah.
him. So
I'm
we don't scream that.
I'm thinking of asking, because I know we all know Ghost Adventures. I'm thinking about asking the psychic medium that's also a witch, Patty, to come on the podcast. Maybe.
Patty and the girl.
I'm just trying to get like more like I think it would be interesting to see like how she feels about everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Dane, did you guys have anything with haunted items like this?
Yes. Well, I don't know if Linda, is it Linda, if she's still on or not, but as mediums, we can do psychometry. So basically, in a nutshell, you're touching an item and reading the item to understand what's coming through from it, whether it's residual energy from somebody that owned it, or it's energy that's been infused into it, like you're talking about, Nico, you're talking about your doll, where it's completely malevolent, So that's the psychometry part of it. So I've come across that with readings on touching certain things and coming through and feeling things.
Okay. How about you, Dane?
Not really so much, but the strangest thing I've ever had, though, is that my grandma's house was built in the 1860s. When we were cleaning up her house, we found a old, like, wooden, like, frame, like a window frame. But anyway, when I touched it, it was like pure static electricity. And there's like no reason for that. Just like, what the heck? It's so weird. And I was like, set it down. Okay, walking away from that. But that's the only thing I've ever had experience with objects. But otherwise, no. But I know Kimberly, you may have some.
Yeah. Yes. So
Yeah.
the house that we moved to, we saw on a chain at the very top of this magnolia tree was a ring on a chain. And I told my husband, I'm like, oh, I feel like we're supposed to have this ring and take it down. And my husband's like, no, that's a bad omen to take down. That might be there for some reason special. Well, immediately after that year, the tree died. It got like this fungus, so we had to cut it down. Well, the ring ended up being the previous owner that lived at our house, who unexpectedly had passed away. And was very attached to the house, and ended up, the spirit wanted my daughter to have that she was very attached to. So we still have it hanging here. She wanted my daughter to wear it, but we didn't want to go that far. But it was interesting, the coincidence of the tree getting this weird fungus and immediately dying, and forcing us to cut down the tree and forcing us to remove the ring, that we were going to leave. So
Wow.
The spirits will have a way of getting their way.
yep, they sure will.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Absolutely.
We
What's
also
everybody's favorite paranormal story, I guess? One that really scared the piss out of you.
We'll have you guys take turns. What's your most traumatizing experience? There you go.
Okay, I'll start. So I'm the type that usually just does things heads on. I'm not the type to get scared easily. Except I was at someone's surgeon's property, Kimberly. It's a Native American property wise. But anyway, I heard a woman's shrill, and then like a man's voice. So it was so bizarre, but it was in the middle of the woods, and it's like one of those types was like, what? Why would a woman be like screaming in the middle of the woods when there's nobody there? So
we went there for a walk because
yeah,
we
exactly.
often hear her, speak to us. And I just wanted to see, we've had other people hear her, and she's in a certain area, a certain time of night. And I just wanted to see, and that was the first time I saw Dane go into flight and fight, mode. And he's like, we are not doing anymore. We're getting out of here. And he's always, pushed it. Let's go for it. It'll be fine. We got you. And he's like, no, we are done. And Linda our medium had said, for Dane,
Curiosity killed the cat.
not to push, not to push things. And so that's why we just went for a walk to be respectful. Yep. And that freaked him out. It was interesting, sitting back and watching him experience what we've, been experiencing. So.
Wow.
Yeah, there's some pretty sacred, super deep, ancient in that space. And there's like this, the utmost honor that I feel that we have to respect.
Absolutely.
We have to respect that space and how we approach it and how we enter it. because it's not ours. We're a guest there. So
Mhm.
that's why I kind of like I explained to them is like I don't think that if we have to be very tread lightly when we're talking about investigating that space and trying to like connect with spirit. But yeah, I mean, I would say one of my stories that scared me was I was pregnant with my daughter. I was like 20 years old at the time, and I was with my daughter's dad and one of his old roommates at their house, and we were all downstairs. We kept hearing this somebody calling his other roommate that was upstairs, and we just assumed it was his girlfriend. It was a female's voice, and it kept calling his name, like almost like in this weird whisper. And we had heard it multiple times, and then they both walked in the door. Like there was no, like it wasn't them. Like it absolutely sounded like her, and that totally. And I was pregnant at the time, so I was like out about that. But I think that would be like the first time as an adult, because I definitely had experiences when I was a child, but definitely when I was adult, I think that was my first like super like freaked out moments for sure.
Wow. We have
But
a couple of
I've always been fascinated with houses though, so I've always been attracted and fascinated with houses.
Yeah, same here.
So I think that there's definitely like I resonate with the energy of homes. Even my own home, I knew when I walked in that the house, it's like almost like the house asked us to purchase it versus us just kind of randomly deciding to purchase it. So I feel like we were definitely asked to be the caretakers of the home. But I definitely think that, like they were talking about psychometry, I do that with homes. Like I can go into a building or a home and I can touch the walls and I can feel that space, and that's where I get my answers, or that's where I get the connection with spirit, or just the energies that still reside there. So yeah, so homes are definitely my first experience with
Yeah.
that.
We have some comments here, just kind of catch up on these comments. Very educational comments. Let me see here. So Laura from New England. Nick, you want that? Friday the 13th has nothing to do with witchcraft. However, it does have to do a lot of deaths from the Knights of Templars. Just wait. And then we got another one from her. If the 13th was on a full moon, however, regardless of what day of the week, to me is a witch that would mean a lot, often does. And never guess who's in the house, you guys. Colleen, who is this? You know who this is?
Oh, Mr. Haunted.
Who that is?
Hello.
Hi, Jimmy.
How are you doing, my dear? Nice
Hey,
to
come
see
on
you.
If you want to come up and join the panel, you're more than welcome. You want
Come
to
on
come up?
in. Come on, Jimmy.
Here, let me put the link in there. I know I'm calling you out. I'm sorry. You kill me later. Let's come back. Okay. Yes, we do remember you, of course. How could we forget you?
But
Let me just.
for the people that don't know who Mr. Haunted is, who is he, if I may ask, like for the people who are our viewers, and also kind of introduce him.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
Who is he?
Yeah.
Jimmy Pentonito. I can never say his last name right. Is it Penito? Petonito? Jimmy, don't kill me. I can't say your last name, but you probably can't say mine either. He used to work with Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Very cool.
Very, very cool man. Very cool.
Well,
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
that's Laura. That's why I don't comment. Oh, hey, yeah.
Pentonio? Is that correct? Pentonito.
Yeah. Petonito. Although when he says it, it just rolls off his tongue,
Okay, Jimmy, you got to come up so you can introduce yourself to everybody else. Only Colleen and I know you, so
Yeah, I don't know who Jimmy
please
is.
come up.
I've never
I
even
sent you
heard.
the link.
I've never even
Yeah.
heard.
So, there's the link again,
I'm like living under a rock. I
so you
guess.
don't have to go back. So, yes, Laura agreed, but many in practice don't know that. Or
Well,
why?
I think 13 is a very important number for female too, because
Yeah.
a female goes through 13 cycles in a year.
It is 13 is very auspicious.
Yeah. 13 has very strong meaning in
13 witches. And then Friday's the day of Venus and associated with goddesses like Freya.
Yep, Freya.
For
Which is like fertility and
of luck, protections, things like that. And Venus Day, which has similar themes.
So I was born on March 13th, Friday the 13th at 3:13 in the afternoon.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Wow.
What was your moon phase? I'm interested.
So I'm a Pisces. Libra is my rising moon, and I have Virgo as my rising sun. So I'm not
when
a
you were
typical
born,
Pisces.
do you know what your do you know what where the moon was?
I do not. I just know that it was Virgo and it's Libra as my sun. It's Virgo is my sun, Libra is my moon. So
yeah, totally look into that. I found out that I was born on a new moon, and I think it kind of gives. I'm a double Taurus and a Leo rising.
Right.
I was born on a new moon. I think it's like super valuable. I think you might once you find out. I think you might resonate with that if you check it out.
I'll check into it. I just know that it's like the witchcraft and the psychic medium for what I do. I mean, I go back and forth between both of the worlds, and actually, wonderfully, Chrissy and Chris Dunham have been very grateful. I'm very grateful for them to take me under their wing as part of their witchcraft and teaching me things about witches and stuff like that. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I think they tend to they do tend to overlap for sure. Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. So Chrissy, did you want to continue on with the question on?
Well, I think we're just talking about scary stuff that happened to us. So
I wasn't sure if Jimmy was going to try to pop on or not. We were waiting for Jimmy, but I would say the most scary thing that I encountered was, as you already know, that Clifton experience. That when we went to Clifton, Arizona, there is a hotel in Clifton that Misty and I and the crew went to. And prior to me going to it, I was experiencing, there was a woman named Jenny that was coming through to me, and I was sitting on the sofa a couple weeks before the investigation, and my husband's sitting next to me, and all of a sudden I'm getting a vision of her standing in a nightgown. Her hair was up of the time, but it was like loose tendrils coming down, which would indicate that she was probably a lady of the evening or the night. And someone coming up behind her, grabbing her, and then slicing her neck, and her collapsing into the ground and, obviously dying. We went to the investigation. It was about 11:13 in the evening that the manager will not go into the restroom, the public restroom of the hotel. Now, this hotel used to be a brothel, and that particular space that was the men and women's restroom that was her bedroom, and where she would service the men. Her husband was okay with her doing her trade for money, with the exception to the rule of don't fall in love with somebody that you're obviously servicing. She did. Mm-hmm. And consequently, the husband came in and thought, well, no one's going to have you. If I can't have you, no one can have you. And he basically slit her throat, and she died in that room. I went in that room at the bewitching hour to see what I would get. And she literally took over, and I started experiencing her death. It was 23 minutes by the time she actually passed. And I didn't last 23 minutes in there. Misty and the crew got me out in time because I started standing. I sat down. I took my knees to my chest. Next thing I know, I wanted to put my head down on the ground. And when they started taking photographs of me afterwards, I was as white as the screen that's on the computer behind you. I was devoid of all color. I was having tingling in my fingers and my legs and my hands. And it was explained to me by another co-collaborator on the team that talked about hospice nurse who said, when you are dying and you are losing blood or anything like that, your body has a tendency to protect its core. So it will shut down other unvital organs and hands and feet and things like that in order to be able to survive. So what I was experiencing was literally her death for 23 minutes. I had to leave the building. I had to go back out to the front of the of the hotel and literally regroup. My husband, who was in Las Vegas at the time in a show, shows how we're connected, was instantly texting and calling and had a bad feeling and was under the impression that something had happened to me. So I had to call him and tell him, I'm okay. I'm not, everything's okay. And it was really wild that he actually felt that there was something wrong with me at that particular moment in time when I was dying, essentially. So I would say that's probably my scariest experience that I've ever had. And I have a respect for her because she sat with her body. She was murdered at 11:13 in the evening at night, and she sat with her body until it was discovered at 10:30 in the next morning. And, you know, the poor girl lives this over and over again. And until there's some kind of vindication for her, she's just going to continue to keep reliving that over and over again. 1800s murder in a nutshell. So,
Wow.
hey, Misty, what about you?
That was pretty intense.
Yeah, that was.
It was intense. It really was.
Yeah, the Clifton Hotel and Bar is a great place to go.
It really is.
Question:
So-
how much history do you like? Do you know any history going in, or do you just go in blind? Because
I go in blind. I do not like to know what's going on.
awesome.
Same.
And I like that because
Isn't that
then,
what you do, Kimberly?
sorry, say it again, Chrissy.
Kimberly, don't you and Linda do that too? Kind of going blind? Or Linda does? I think Linda does, doesn't she?
Yeah. I mean, in fact, in August, we're going to a location out of state, and that's all she knows. So
That's the best. That's the way I like it too.
but then it's amazing to see. I run I'm on the board of a historical society, and I brought her in, and the stuff that she picked up on, you know, that was out of sight in the field. You know, there was like a lynching in our town. At the very bottom of the shelving is the branch from it and a photo, and she had walked past it, and it just like gave me chills. She's like, oh, I feel, you know, tightness in my throat and falling back and rascal something. And I just like could see, you know, her visualizing that happening. It just was incredible, you know, but she went in there. We didn't tell her anything. She just walked around, and, you know, I just only, if she's on the right track, say, yeah. And then when we're all done, we'll go and explain what she got right. And it's usually everything. So
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. That's what I prefer as well. I prefer to do the same thing. I did an investigation in Tombstone where it was a building that's never been investigated before. And it was quite amazing to me. It was the first time I've done a production per se, and went in there and had the same situation where it was like I picked up on an 1879 shootout to a 1930s strangulation to a 1970s heart attack. And I so enjoy doing that from the perspective, and I'm sure Linda does too, from the perspective of that's what your spirit guides give you. And the validation you get on the back end of it is like, I nailed it. Yeah.
Colleen,
Yeah, and
Jimmy
you have
says
to
give
really
him
just
15
trust
minutes and
yourself,
be
right?
in.
Say that again, Chrissy. What's that?
Jimmy said give him 15 minutes and he'd be in.
Oh, cool. Perfect. And I'm
Oh.
sorry, Linda, what did you say? I think you were speaking too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was just basically saying that I think that gives an opportunity for us to kind of thoroughly trust what we're getting.
Absolutely.
And it's kind of like a clean slate. You're not. I think that if you have information, you second guess, and then you don't always say what you get.
It's very true.
We're obviously always working towards give what you get, even if it doesn't make sense, because it's not supposed to make sense to you, right?
And sometimes I do that too. It's like, well, I think you probably do too as a medium. We do that. We second guess ourselves with like, really? I just did a reading for a friend, her mom and her aunt just recently. And I was disturbed at what I got. And I was second guessing myself. And I kept saying, I need to talk to you first just to double check and make sure I'm on the right track, And when I did, and she's like, yeah, you're 100% on the right track. I was like, okay, great. That helps me,
Mm-hmm. And we have another comment, interesting one. So here we go. Laura says, when I used to work for the Ghost Hunters, aka Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson, the scariest thing I ever went across was at the Spalding Inn, where the former owner had died in the front office.
Oh,
and
wow.
we have been out there. We have been out there to the inn. And yes, it was, you can see that it was scary. So,
and I'm not familiar with the Spalding Inn. Where is that located?
That's in New Hampshire.
Oh, it is in New Hampshire. Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson owned it. Well, I think they still do. Or you might have to help me on this. But yeah, they own it. And she used to work for them. And at the inn, it's in Whitefield, New Hampshire, she said. That's where it's at. And beautiful hotel. It really is. Tucked back away. You can stay there if you want.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you might want to check.
New Hampshire. I'm just not a big fan of the black bears.
Oh, they don't own it no more, she said. But yeah, they used to own it, so it's very nice and everything. I love it. And yeah, you. My youngest daughter was with us at the time. Her baby was 9 months, and you know how babies can sense spirits and everything.
Well, small children can.
Yeah. So it was this hallway. It was empty. Okay. So Riley was out down, just crawling around on the floor and everything while we was checking, looking at pictures and stuff. And all of a sudden, this ball just appeared nowhere. I mean, it came out of nowhere. We don't know where it came from, but she was playing with it, and she kept throwing it to somebody. We don't know who. It was somebody there, and she was laughing and everything. And so Amber Wynn picked up her daughter and everything, and we went back to what we was doing, and we turned around, and the ball was gone, just like that. So yeah, it's kind of spooky.
Kind of spooky. Just a little bit, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's just a ball.
Just your baby playing with the little ghost.
Yeah, she was 9 months. So it was yes, the long hallway on the first floor. That is correct, Laura. That's what she was saying, the long hallway on the first floor. Yes, it was.
Hey, Linda, I have a girlfriend that just looked it up, and she said that it was a waxing moon.
A waxing moon. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that I was born on a waxing moon.
Interesting. I was born on a full moon.
Now that'd be great if it was a Friday the 13th full moon. Yeah.
Nico,
then my husband would say, "Yes, we totally understand why you're like the way you are."
Well, yeah. I mean, even me with the new moon, the dark moon, essentially, it totally makes sense for me. I go deep, I go dark. I mean, like who I am, and so that totally totally made sense when I figured that out.
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm gonna start looking into that. I love the moon. I mean, I'd much rather have the moon than the sun. Honestly, my husband looks at me when I go out there, and I'm like moon bathing. I go out there and I'm like,
Good for you.
oh, I love the moon.
I am an absolute moon child for sure.
Yep.
I've always been a moon child.
You do know that the moon makes your body release a hormone that actually helps you sleep better and relax. So the whole shelter we put over us isn't helping us. We do need to bathe in it. So,
well, that's why, like when there's a full moon, I always have my draperies open because the moon shines in, and I find myself on the pillow moving, like migrating to where the moon is on the pillow, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Misty, do you have any scary stories?
Well, I do,
and I'm lucky enough.
So I saw my first ghost when I was like 5 years old. And since then, I've had just this interest that's been insatiable. I used to read every book that my school had. I went to the public library, got all the books I could find on witchcraft and spells and ghosts and all this stuff. And surprisingly, my school library had quite a few books for kids. But my grandparents decided it was a good idea to buy my brother and I a Ouija board. And I'm going to say I was probably like about 8 or 9 when they bought it for us. And so my brother is actually younger than me, so he was probably like 6 or 7. So they put this Ouija board in our hands, and we take it home, and we start trying to use it. And we got something bad on the board. And we didn't know how to close it, or we didn't know anything about it, so we just put the damn thing away, and all hell broke loose in our house. I started seeing shadow figures, and they were following me. We had a cousin in town for the summer to do construction. And so I had to give up my bedroom for him for the summer. So I was crashing on the floor in my 2 brothers' bedroom, and they had bunk beds. So I was sleeping on the floor. One night I was in there, and they had gone to the kitchen to get themselves something to eat. And ironically, the moonlight was shining in the window as we were all talking about the moonlight coming in. And it looked like somebody had put a black curtain over the top of the ceiling, and it was coming down towards me, and I could see it coming down, and it was just, all the light was just gone. And so I took off out of the room real quick and ran to the kitchen, and I told my brothers what I'd seen, and they were like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And so I went back, and I came into the doorway, and the blackness was gone, but up on the top bunk, I saw a shadow figure jumping up and down, and I could hear it laughing at me. Well, the next day, I was on the bottom bunk, sitting off the side, like kind of like I am right now. You sit off the side of your bed. And my stepbrother was up on the top bunk with his boom box, listening to the radio through headphones. And the next thing I know, the boom box came flying down off of the top bunk, just barely missed my head, landed on my toe, and broke my toe.
Oh.
So they were getting physical at that point, and that was absolutely terrifying because I was a kid. And so after reading everything that I'd read, I was like, let's go get some Bibles. So we went to Goodwill. We got a bunch of Bibles. I got my 2 brothers, and we got 2 of our friends too that had accidentally become involved in all of this. So we all got together, and we sat in the living room in the dark with flashlights, reading passages from the Bibles. And as we looked around us, the room began to fill up with shadow figures, and they were all around us. And it was absolutely terrifying. And then they just dissipated, and we didn't see them anymore. But when we moved out of that house, another family moved in, and there was a fire that started in the bedroom that used to be mine, where we had used the Ouija board.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess okay. So I got a
That's my
question though.
curious
What are your
story.
thoughts? Yeah, that's a very interesting story. But what are your thoughts on Ouija boards? In my opinion, they're a toy, but also are they based on intentions? What are your thoughts? Because we have some investigators on our team that won't even touch a Ouija board. So what are your
I won't
thoughts?
touch one. I'll never
Okay.
touch one ever again because of my own personal experience with it.
Okay. I respect that.
I'm sure other people know how to use it. I don't know how to use it. I don't want to know how to use it.
Mhm.
I'm not opposed to them as long as you know how to open and close them.
Yeah.
And again, most people don't know. Like, I mean, that's a perfect example of what like Misty's talking about here is that, you know, it was a toy back in our age bracket. It was something that was really cool to buy your child to play with, you know. And again, if your intentions are dark and your intentions are to open it up and, you know, have something evil come through, you know, I'm not saying they're good or bad. I'm just saying you should probably know how to use them beforehand. Like driving a car, probably should know how to operate a car before you get in a car and start driving it. So I feel the
Yeah,
same.
it's just like I see them as a tool, just like I see them a pendulum. I see,
Exactly.
you know, tarot cards, oracle cards. They're a tool, and you
Right.
do have to practice. You know, to know what you're doing. You know, the
Exactly.
more practice you have, the better you're going to get at it. So
I feel like, because I kind of like grew up with all the divination tools because my mother's a witch.
Oh no! Really?
Wait, we didn't know that.
Really, at the end of the day, if you open yourself up to it, it can be anything. Anything can be a divination item if you truly
Right.
wanted to. I could take the tab off of my can right now and make it into a divination tool. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Anything
Exactly.
can. So if you set that intention to open a portal, I can't even speak. It will open it. You know what I mean? Like you open yourself up to it. And if you have the intention, oh, something evil is going to come in, and you don't put your guards up and you don't do the proper research to protect yourself, then yeah, something bad might happen.
Correct.
But you kind of bring it onto yourself then.
Yeah, my son, my youngest son, my youngest daughter, and myself, we use them quite a
I
bit.
refuse.
She
I won't even allow it in my house.
She doesn't.
Get
She
that out.
and I keep telling her, you know, it's not bad. You're manifesting it to be bad.
But
And
for
it's not.
someone who has had paranormal experience their whole life and it's kind of been more amplified for me versus you and everybody else around me,
Mhm.
I say no. But that's to protect me, and I have small children in the house, so I say hell no.
Oh.
Especially because two of my kids are sensitive, so no, they're not ready to have another can of worms open. If you know
And
what I mean.
I think they're very useful tools, and it kind of depends on, you know, what your intentions are, and if you go looking for that scary paranormal experience using them, that's exactly what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Right.
used them just fine, you know, cemeteries, old chapels, you name it. No issues. I've had pretty good experiences with the Ouija board. Um, or pendulums, dowsing rods, you name it.
Yeah. Right.
And not saying that you can't use them to contact like malicious spirits or things like that, but generally, somewhere in your subconscious, you want to have that scary experience, and so you open the door to have that experience.
So I have a question for you guys, particularly more for Linda and maybe Kimberly in this case. You know, I mean, being part of a paranormal world, you hear stories, and you know, I've heard people wanting to. I know this is a G-rated show, but wanting to have sex with a ghost or wanting an attachment. So, like Nico said, you know, it's like if you manifest this, you certainly can get it. But I'm blown away when I hear people say, I want an attachment or I want to have sex with a ghost. And it's so I'm just curious if you've run into that in your paranormal world.
And everybody's speechless. They're silent.
I was speechless when I heard it too. I'm like,
I ran across that on TikTok where this guy was going around trying to give he gave people this ritual to summon a incubus or succubus, and like all of these teenagers and things on the app are like trying to post videos like recreating this ritual, and I'm sitting here like, why in the hell do like no,
Yeah.
like as somebody who's been a witch for 2 decades, and I was once doing paranormal research. Um, why like I feel almost worse for the people that have a experience like that with a perverted spirit,
Yeah.
that it's out of their control, but
It's
then to like
scary.
consciously invite that in is
So,
just really, really weird to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
where was this ritual? Was this like a TikTok? Or, like I've
Yeah,
never
it was
heard
on
of it.
TikTok. It like 2020, it was going around. It was viral,
Jeez. Okay.
and he was a left-hand practitioner, and he was like, "This is how you like invoke a succubus or incubus to like come visit you at night." And it's like, why the hell do you want that? Like, I'm left-hand practices are totally fine. I have nothing against them, but that specifically is just no.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And
That's
this is
why
what
Yeah.
Laura said. Oops, dang it. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is TikTok. This is why I don't go on TikTok. I have
Yeah.
TikTok, but some of the stuff they show on there, I'm just like, okay.
Some of it's wild. I go on there to like earnestly educate people about like what real witchcraft looks like
Hmm.
and like the
Thank
history
you.
behind things,
Hmm.
and try to call out the like crazy psychosis and stuff that I see, but I'm not a mental health professional. Like
Yeah.
I can only point it out, you have to go do the thing. But it's sometimes you sit there with popcorn, sometimes you're in shock, and other times it's like it's kind of interesting, but also like very concerning.
And
Yeah.
Laura,
I
I'm
mean, I just
just
think it's really from the aspect of just respecting the craft.
Hmm.
yes.
Exactly.
I mean, just
also,
I mean, it's like respecting spirit. It's just like you talk. It's just how you respect people in life. You
Hmm.
respect people in death in the same way, and you respect your craft,
Absolutely.
Right.
your your ancestry, all of that. You respect it, and yeah, I guess I can't wrap my brain around that.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, I
Um,
couldn't either, Linda, when I heard it. I mean, I've heard it a couple times from a couple different people, and I'm just, Misty and I have come in contact with people that have had attachments, and it's not pretty. I mean, so
Yeah.
to openly want an attachment or to openly, we've had people where they talked about being molested by a spirit, and they're deeply affected and deeply having a PTSD type effect to it. It's not a pretty sight from
No.
like from our standpoint when we're dealing with it for them to help them. So for somebody to openly say that they want it, and it just, like I said, it just
yeah,
blows
I
my
mean,
mind.
it comes back to boundaries. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes,
just
Boundaries.
like
100%.
teaching people to set boundaries from the get-go. I mean,
right,
that was a challenge for me. I've had some experiences um, with I wouldn't call them aggressive spirits by any means. I think that in for me, my experience has been that if a spirit seems to be aggressive, a lot of times it's the way they communicate. Maybe that's the way they communicated in life. Maybe they were
right,
abrasive in
right,
life. And so that's how they're communicating in spirit. So it's not, I'm just putting something to it. I'm like putting fear into that or whatever. But I think that once I learned to set boundaries, and know that I was in control, spirit's not in control. We're in control in
correct.
that situation. So I just think that that's like first and foremost what hopefully we could teach other people as they're kind of coming into themselves and they're getting to know who they are, and stuff is coming out for them. That's one of the first things that they learn. That's like part of 101 is set boundaries and learn how to protect yourself in the best way.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
I have never had a spirit molest me or anything like that. But I have had spirits crawl in bed with me and stroke my hair. And it was even to the point where she would walk past my room and she would see a spirit like
A shadow person.
spooning me when I was asleep. But I was unaware I was asleep. So besides that one time when I was awake and I just had surgery, so I couldn't really, I was vulnerable at the time. Couldn't really do much besides use my own intention in my mind and my own voice, but
Right.
my own set the boundaries for it. Be like, you can't do that anymore. Like that's creepy.
Exactly. Yeah. Stop. You can't do that. Right. Exactly.
Spirits.
Well,
even if you're astro traveling, so I had some experiences where it felt very much like I was awake. I felt like it was spirit, like, but I was astro traveling, so I was in that middle state. Is that theta? I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but in that space, I've had experience with spirit that were very persistent. Specifically, a neighbor that had passed away wanting to give a message to his wife. Where at that time, my neighbor did not know what I did. So it wasn't like I just walk up to her and go, "Hey, by the way, Doug says blah blah blah," right? It wasn't like that simple.
Personal.
But he would come. So he was in that realm with me while I was astro traveling, and was very like persistent. And it was very scary for me initially because I didn't understand about setting boundaries. To the point where I was like, I was absolutely paralyzed, like literally, like I couldn't move. I couldn't even speak.
Wow.
And I was trying to call out for help. And it was a super scary thing to happen. But thank goodness I had really good mentors that I was able to go to and explain the situation. And they were able to kind of squash that pretty quickly for me. And I was able to like, get a handle on it. So
well, and of course, in the paranormal world where, there's so many TV shows out there that, talk about like, possession and everything is demonic. And, of course, then that's the training that these people have. I mean, meaning the public. And, it's up to us to tell them not everything is demonic. In fact, I mean, as long as I've been doing this 99.9% of the time, I think I've ran into one demon in all the time that I've done this. And literally, like you just said, it basically boils down to how the person communicated in their real world as how they communicate in the afterworld. And if they're a little aggressive or a little angry sounding, or maybe it might just be simply that you didn't spread my ashes in the right spot. And I'm really upset about it, because I've run into that where I had a gentleman that was really upset about the fact that his ashes were supposed to be spread in 2 separate locations. And so he kept haunting his wife and daughter. And I remotely, channeled and found out that this little elderly gentleman who was 85 years old, who had died, had said, ask him where they put the ashes, the second set of ashes. They were supposed to go to Cleveland, Ohio to my sister, and come to find out that they were spread in the vegetable garden. And he's like, I don't want them in the vegetable garden. I wanted them to go to Cleveland, Ohio. So, this is why I'm mad. So
yeah, I mean, if they're pissed in life, they can be pissed in death as well.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Precisely.
Okay, so Jimmy's going to get some coffee and is going to be joining us here in just a few minutes. Yay!
Cool. Yay.
She's so excited.
Hey, we like Jimmy, don't we, Colleen? We like Jimmy.
Yeah.
I just think it's cute.
He
I'm
and I
excited
have
for
been
everybody.
on Facebook a lot lately, so
Is he going to have a story of his scariest moments as well?
I think he has a lot of scary moments since he worked with Ed and Lorraine Warren.
But when you guys were talking about like not every spirit was like is evil and stuff like that, like I've had spirits like stare, hovering over me, staring at me like when I wake up and stuff, and their intention isn't bad. They're just curious,
Yeah.
So I completely agree. They just shut the door. They're just like, what is she doing?
Yeah, and I
No,
think the last
go ahead.
investigation that we did, well, the investigation at the poorhouse that we had talked about, Dane and Kimberly,
Yeah.
we had that experience initially where in the morning I had somebody hovering over my cot, and I knew he was there, and I can describe him. I could describe the feeling. I could feel the breath on my face. I didn't open my eyes because I was still a little scared. Like you're still scared. Like I was, you know,
Kind of
kind of
like a
like waking
paralyzed
up from.
feeling.
Yeah, but that happened. Like you can feel them hovering over you, and it is a kind of an uncomfortable feeling that they kind
It's
of
an
give you, and they're
unsettling
just really
feeling.
curious. This
Yeah.
guy was just really wanting to know what was going on. Like why are you on a cot in the middle of this room? Kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, it was like the cafeteria kitchen area where you're supposed to be eating, and we were camped out there. So
Yeah, but that's the weird thing
That
is, so
makes
I never
sense.
experienced him, but I experienced him this like literally a few days before to the investigation this second time around in my dream. So I hadn't even experienced him the first time, but he came through my dream, so it was kind of interesting.
Well, and then
Yeah.
he told me that, and then I'm like, well, you just literally described the person that I saw when I was there. So that was actually pretty cool that we were able to see the same, describe the person in the same way.
In sync.
That's
Yeah.
the easiest time for like a spirit to contact you too, is when you're in the dream state. So
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I know
have a
when
lot of people, and I have a lot of spirit come in my dreams. Sometimes I think it's because I'm not always paying attention during the day at times, but I do a lot of spirit connection within my dreams.
yeah, that's happened to me. My mom was having like a paranormal. My grandfather passed away, and then my mom saw his chair rocking. But in my dream, where he was, like where what she was experiencing, I was experiencing my dream when I was sleeping at the same time. So I called her up first thing in the morning. I told her what happened. She's like, "Well, that's funny because in my dream he was in his chair sitting. I was talking to him, and then we went through the hallway, and she goes, the chair rocked. Then we saw him in the hallway, and then he walked towards the kitchen. I'm like, well, that's kind of funny because that's what we were doing in my dream.
Wow.
And it happened
Yeah.
at the same time. And my grandmother witnessed the same thing my mother did. And they didn't tell me what happened. I told them what happened to me first in the dream. And they're like, well, that's weird, Amy. I'm like, I don't know.
It was right on target.
It was like closure for my grandmother at the same time. And I think that's what he wanted. So
Yeah.
I always find like when I'm like in that half between state, not actually in dream state, but actually like in that half state just before I go to sleep, all of a sudden it's like I am just bombarded with all this information. In fact, that's kind of what happened when I was going to do when I was talking about the reading that I did for a girlfriend's mother and aunt. It was like all of a sudden it was like in this half dream state where trying to go to sleep, and all of a sudden all this information is just like I'm just getting this download of all this information. So I have to sit there and get a book out, and I just have to start writing everything down so that I capture it at that moment in time.
Yeah, and is that before? So the before investigations, I will, or before a reading, I will always get some certain information like a couple days ahead of time. Yeah.
Right. I do the same thing. We were scheduled for a Friday, and this was actually like a Wednesday night that I started getting all this information. So,
hey, you guys, this is Jimmy.
well, hello, Jimmy.
Hi.
Hey, fellas.
How's it going?
I
So,
apologize.
as you said,
for,
Mr. Haunted.
I apologize for ruining your symmetry. You had a nice Brady Bunch thing going on there, and I ruined it like Oliver did.
Well, there's great things in asymmetry. So I'm an interior designer by day, so asymmetry is great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you doing,
Jimmy, I think some of these people don't know you, so why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm not introducing myself, but I was just about to go to sleep and popped in because I got a notice that you were on and wanted to say hi, and then they wanted to pull me in with no warm up, nothing, and here I am.
I'm sorry.
I don't care. I'll do it again. I don't care.
Well, Jimmy, this is Kimberly, and we have, is it Dane and Linda, and they are from SIPS Paranormal, and
Hello,
we're doing We're doing a paranormal investigation. We're doing a paranormal investigation right now.
Holy mackerels!
Thanks
So
for
we're
that,
just talking about the paranormal, creepy
about
stuff, stuff like that.
Where are
Yeah, what's your
six from?
scariest movie? What?
Colleen. How about Misty? What is she?
Yeah.
She's over here in the corner.
No,
We didn't
where are
introduce
sips
her.
from?
Oh, and well, she knows. Misty, weren't you on that?
We're from Iowa.
Thank
Kind
you.
of, yeah, Iowa. Yeah.
Is that the home of the Buckeyes?
Hawkeyes.
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 Buckeyes. I knew it was about an eye.
Yeah, you're good.
My kids always called them hot guys. They didn't understand it was hot
guys.
guys.
Same thing.
That's
Same thing.
home of the hot
I
guys.
like that.
Well, some are pretty hot.
You heard it here first. We're gonna make up some merch. The Iowa Hot Guys.
Yeah.
So Jane was asking you, Jimmy, what your scariest paranormal event was.
Oh my! Holy mackerels! Oh, there's I had a couple actual sightings that were very scary because they're right in front of you, and you know it's not your imagination. It's not a. But I don't know if we want to start talking about this creepy stuff, guys.
Well, we were just talking about Annabelle in the beginning of the podcast, so.
Well, this has to do with an exorcism I was assisting at.
Go for it.
All right. I've seen the scary stuff like a whole body apparition, a shadow figure, voices come out of nowhere, which is scary because you actually hear them, and we all hear them, and there's nobody there, that kind of thing. But this, even though this might not seem scary, it was scary when you think about it. During the for a little lead up to this, in the mid '90s, our group was featured on Primetime Live on ABC, if you remember that show. Millions of people watched our episode that was featuring one of the exorcisms we helped with, and it was around Halloween, and they did a special on it. And we got calls from all over the country. All of a sudden, we're like 7 people that have regular jobs and kids, and all of a sudden, we're getting calls from all over the country saying, we're having problems, but there's nobody in our area that can help. So, the bishop that we were working with here in Connecticut, he was very open to helping people doing an exorcism. He wasn't, it wasn't like going to take 10 months because you have to go to Rome back and forth 50 times. So, anyway, so we were trying to, all 7 of us were trying to field all these calls and emails and figure out which ones are legit, which ones needed help first, which ones already got tested for mental or physical issues. And so we all had like 7 of us, we all had so many people we were in contact with. It might have been 10 to 20 each person at any time. So like I'm saying is that the person that we were helping this week was another one of our team members cases. It wasn't ours. All we knew was she was coming in from Virginia, and somebody was picking her up at the airport. And whoever, it was a customary thing. Every Wednesday, whoever was available, show up at the church at 3:00 to set up the area, in front of the church for the bishop. That entailed getting we called it an exorcism chair, which was located outside on the deck there, and we had restraints, and then we also had to add a vomit bucket to our list of ingredients because we noticed that a lot of these people vomited just like on TV during the exorcism. So we set up we got it all set up for the 4:00 exorcism. So it was me and a cop showed up. He was one of our team members, and I'm taking the special antibiotics. And they said it gives you dry mouth, and it does. So so me and the cop set up everything, and we still had like 20, 25 minutes to kill before the woman got there with the other team members that picked her up from the airport. So just in conversation, he said, he says, he goes, I got into an argument with my mother last night on the phone, and I feel terrible. As soon as I get out of here, I'm going to call her back and apologize. It was just in conversation. So then the woman, she literally was like this 98-pound, maybe not even, tiny little woman from Virginia that we knew nothing about, except that she came from Virginia, and so now there's like 4 of us, and the priest starts doing this is also the woman that she broke out of her restraints. These are restraints they use in hospitals
Wow.
and in prisons. And a lot of people say, anybody could break out of restraints, or they talk about the woman who could lift a car when her child is pinned underneath it in an accident. And well, luckily we have a psychologist on our team that explained to us. She goes, you don't understand. She goes, that kind of person has massive adrenaline coming out of their body, whatever, and that gives them the power to lift a car up. Their child is underneath. When you're
Right.
sitting in a church just facing a priest saying prayers at you, you're not getting that kind of adrenaline to break out of hospital restraints. And this is also the same church that another woman ripped the whole pew out of she ripped the pew right out of the concrete.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Anyway.
No pun intended.
So then I saw what you did there. So then I made this. I'm talking about stupid jokes during this. You have to have humor when you do this kind of stuff.
I agree.
I made a joke on Facebook one time. I put a cow was spotted in the street, and I thought everybody thought it would be funny because it was spotted, like nobody got it. Anyway, so then there was more to it, but that's all I can remember. Okay, so let's get back. The lady's in her chair. She's restrained. She's not screaming or anything. She's just facing the priest. He's doing his beginning prayers, which is the litany of the saints. And then he turned to her now and did a sign of the cross and started his thing. And she was totally calm. And she was the cop was on this side of her, and she turned to him and said, "And you, the way you talked to your mother last night, that was disgusting." And then she went right back to the priest. Now I've seen some crazy stuff, but just her having the knowledge of the unknown scared me more than anything that I've seen with my eyes. Because you always worry during this stuff. What are they going to come out with? What are they going to say about you? And they also, 9 times out of 10 they threaten you. They'll say, we're going to get you. Might not be today, tomorrow, but we're going to get all of you. Even the helpers, we're getting all of you. And I got scared. That was scary to me. For some reason, that scared me more than anything. Thank you.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'd be scared too.
Yeah. I'm glad I got on here before the 13th ended. Officially say I was here Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Friday the 13th.
Did you already talk about the superstition part and all that?
We was going to get started. I was just figuring we just wait for you.
Because I am like that. Like I try to stay inside all day. I didn't have to work today, and I don't want to go out. I didn't want to drive because if something does happen, it's because it's the 13th.
Well, you know that the 13th is a great day. I mean, I was born on Friday the 13th at 3:13 in the afternoon, Jimmy. Come
Holy
on.
mackerels.
And I'm a good person.
Well, 13, I look at it as my lucky number. That was my baseball number as a kid and everything. But just because I'm not going to go out. Thank you.
Does anybody believe in a superstitious for Friday the 13th?
I'm very superstitious with it, but I
don't.
I use this
I think
day
it's a
to
good day. Good lucky
like
day.
love work. So I do.
I think it's a very powerful day. It's a
Yeah.
13 is a very powerful number, very magical.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes. Yes, very much. I agree too.
And I love it when my birthday falls on Friday the 13th. Then I'm out partying.
That's the best.
Oh, I'm
Hey, you
going
know
to
what?
see you now.
One time I did a show, like every week we had I came up with a new, if we didn't have a guest, I try to do a topic like you're doing. And I said, you know what? There's enough story on werewolves and a little historical stories about werewolves. I said, I want to call it the Werewolf Show. So I had one episode that was called The Werewolf Show. And so I started researching without any, I had no stories, nothing, just a blank sheet of paper. And I said, this is going to be called The Werewolf Show. So I started researching stuff. And one of the prerequisites for being a werewolf, I learned, was if you're born on a Friday, and you might be born on this, I don't know, a Friday under a full moon, you're a werewolf. So I looked it up. I'm a werewolf.
No, Linda and I were just talking about that. She was actually born under a full moon did you say full?
New moon.
New moon. I was a waxing moon. So I had a friend just look it up for me. So nope, wasn't a full moon.
I won't
Darn
say
it.
what year it is, but off air, I could prove to you that I'm a werewolf. Thank you.
Maybe we should do a show on you, Jimmy, again about cryptids.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
oh, I love cryptids. Do you know I have an alter ego? I'm a Gemini, by the way, guys, so I apologize.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Okay.
and Misty's a Gemini too, and she's just left, but yeah.
So, what were you just saying about cryptids? Oh, I have an
I
alter
said we should
ego.
have you on as a
because-
cryptid.
Alter ego.
Just because the way my path went in life, because I wanted to get a picture. Did you ever see the picture of the brown lady of Raynham Hall? With the
Yes.
the picture of the woman coming down the staircase. It's a famous ghost picture.
Right.
And I had that in a book as a kid. And all these people, like, good for them, but everybody says, why'd you get into the field? And they're like, I just want to help people. I just want to, like, that's fine. But I wanted to get my own. I wanted to get a ghost picture like the brown lady of Raynham Hall. That was my whole goal in life. So when I got old enough to find haunted places and be able to go there before the internet, how do you find anywhere? That's how I got started, and then that's how I got started with Ed and Lorraine. But I am way more interested in. I had so many UFO experiences as growing up, and the cryptid thing. Now I'm so much more into cryptids and UFOs than the haunting stuff now. And I have a alter ego. Is I can't say I'm a cryptid guy now because no, you're the Mr. Haunted. So I have an alter ego called Bog Winterborn. He's on Facebook, and he goes to all these places in search of cryptids, but it's really me. And my goal is, I have a different voice and everything, and my goal by next year is to do a presentation at one of these conventions as dressed up like Bog Winterborn and talk about cryptids.
That's cool.
But I know people are gonna say, that's Jim, that's the guy that, I'm like, no, it's Bog Winterborn.
You should come on the show, dress up as a cryptid.
Yeah, there you go.
You just gotta tell me you have a doppelganger.
You gotta ask me.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
How many people have had an experience with aliens? Just curious.
I have. Not aliens, UFOs. Let me.
Well,
UFOs. Yeah.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
4. Wow. Not just a dot in the sky moving around. Like 4 whole different types too.
What about you, Linda? Have you?
I actually have. I don't talk about it a lot. It was actually a pretty intense experience. It was before I was pregnant with my last child, and we were actually trying to conceive, and we were having challenges. And one night I was in a kind of altered state, and I woke up, and but I really wasn't. I thought I was in a dream. And I had experiences with what we would consider aliens in my room. I could feel my husband's arm across my body, and I could still feel that. which is how we were laying in bed. But that was the only thing that helped me not freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
And
Grounded you.
they were doing something. They were doing things to me. And what was interesting about that is and I would say nightmares about it for weeks after with this experience, because it was so unbelievably real. Like it was like, when you're astral traveling because it feels real. Like a difference between a dream and astral traveling, and it felt more like astral traveling to me. It felt like I was in this like middle realm space. And so what ended up happening, what was interesting, because they were doing something to like my abdominal area. That's what I recall.
Wow.
And I can't remember exactly how many weeks later it was, but then it might have been like 3 or 4 weeks later, and then I was pregnant with my son.
Wow.
So
yeah,
I do not tell many people about that story, but I think it's just really just very weird, the coincidence with that situation and how unbelievably real that felt for me. Like it happened yesterday. Like I could vividly see that as I talk about it. Yeah, it's almost like I feel like they're like that energy is here with me. And it's interesting because, I don't know if people get into like Palladian and other like different entities from the alien world, but there's certain characteristics that people have that put them into those categories. And I'm not like 100% believer in that. Like I still like have to do my research, and I'm not sure exactly what I believe in and what I don't believe in when it comes to that. But what's interesting is that my son has specific characteristics that are very Palladian-like when they describe Palladian bodies.
I was just going to ask you that. I was going to ask you if he had tendencies towards that, and he does. Yeah. That's wild. Have you ever tried to do a past life regression session to see if that comes up in
and somebody else mentioned that to me too, and I haven't, not in that. I mean, I've done like, I'm an Akashics practitioner, that's like essentially kind of like past life, but I do it on other people more than I obviously do it for myself. So that's very, very interesting for me to try to do that, to kind of see what that would be like, because I still am somewhat skeptical about it. Like I tell the story and it's like I really truly want to believe it, but there's something is like, just like make it make sense.
Well, your rational mind and your irrational mind they're basically having a war against each other. I had a former friend that was abducted by aliens, and I worked with her on maybe 2 or 3 past life regression sessions. And literally every time we would go through, there was more and more detail that would come through. I catered the past life regression session to be more about what happened to her as opposed to pushing her into the past life of what she had. And she, as we were going through, she was getting more and more clarity to it that would tell her more about what was going on and how it happened and everything. So it would be really cool to try to do something like that, to see if you can tap into that, to actually get more of the memories coming through, to see exactly what happened, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I mean, there's something about resonating with starseeds as well. So
yeah,
but yeah, I appreciate that, and I definitely think that I need to do something like that, just to kind of get some more clarity on it,
just to make it make sense to you, so that you understand. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Jimmy, every time you dip out of the screen, I'm like on edge if you're going to put that mask on again.
Oh, no.
I like waiting, like the horror movie that's part. No, okay.
2 times isn't funny. 2 times isn't funny. But I got him.
I'm sorry, was I so deep in talk I missed it? Did I miss his mask?
You missed his mask. It made me jump. I'm like listening to your story, and your voice is kind of memorizing, and then he's got this alien face. I'm like, whoa, what? Are my eyes deceiving me?
Totally
inappropriate.
inappropriate.
Just look down. and I just see that, and I'm just like,
No, I love it. I'm sorry I missed it. You're gonna have to probably at some point do it again, just
I'm
so
gonna need a
Well,
warning
make
though.
sure I'm not talking when we do it.
the bad
You
thing
do
was
it.
my head
My
it
wig.
wouldn't fit over my headphones, so I had to put them down, and they fell in the dark and went tumbled. All they had to go find them. So I'm not going to do that again. No,
So I
sir.
had an experience once that I'm not sure if it was just paranormal, if it was something else, because we had a lot of paranormal at our house going on. But our whole family woke up in the middle of the night. All our electronics were like going off at the same time. I'm like thinking, okay, is this like a government trying to like, whatever that wave technology? And it freaked us out. We couldn't explain it. I got up, I even documented it. And, I was in that flight and fight mode. And then a couple of days later, the same thing happened in our vehicle, that same high pitched noise. And I looked down at the radio and it said Mother Earth on it. And I'm like, okay, what is trying so hard to get my attention? And then our microwave exploded, our oven exploded, our dishwasher exploded, like all within like the short amount of time. That's something, I don't know, from outer space or here or another realm or whatever, was like desperately trying to get our attention.
You know what? That's one of those stories that you hear that years from now you're finally going to meet one of the aliens that come down, and they're going to say, "We've been trying to contact you all this time." He's like, "Well, why don't you give me a sign? We made all your stuff go down. We put Mother Earth on your radio. What more do you want?"
Come on here, we spelled it out for you.
Wait,
I kind of
what?
imagine that conversation. I imagine that
don't get it.
conversation when I'm gone. I pass on to the next space, having that conversation. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? I gave you like 100 and messages and 100 signs that I was like there.
Do you remember that joke about the guy that was in the flood, and the water was all the way up to the roof, and like a guy in a boat came by, and he says, "Hey, I'm here to save you." He goes, "No, I'm waiting for God. God's gonna work a miracle and save me." He's like, "Okay." So then a guy in a helicopter came down and says, "Hey, hop on, I'm gonna save you." And then he finally drowned, and he goes, "God, why didn't you help me?" He goes, "I sent a rowboat. I sent a helicopter."
Right. Exactly.
That's funny. So yeah, I had experience. We was just driving around one time at nighttime, just cruising around at nighttime, my husband and I, and we went from point A to point B on this blacktop road. I mean, it wasn't deserted or anything. It was just kind of like not really a dead end either, but it was kind of like out in the country. And our radio just kind of like white noise and everything. And our locks on our car kept going up and down and everything. And then the headlights flicker off and on, off and on. And my husband and I was looking at each other like, oh my God, this is it. We're going to be abducted, And all of a sudden we see this shooting like an orb just shoot across in front of our van.
Oh.
And it's kind of like stop in midair for, I don't know, 3 seconds and then just zoomed off. And then after that, everything was okay. Lights was working. The door locks stopped clicking. The radio came on all just fine. It was freaky.
You know,
It was freaky.
You know what was cool about the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind was, if you remember, the whole movie started with their toys going off by themselves,
Yeah.
Right.
moving. That appeared like a regular haunting, and it makes you think how many hauntings are caused by, like, when I was a kid, my first experience that I had was my radio was changing stations by itself, but it was one that had dials on it. So I looked over and it could actually see the dial moving back and forth. So I said, okay, even as a kid, I said, something wrong with the radio transmissions or something. You rationalize it. And then you said, well, it's not moving the dials back and forth. So then I'm thinking, now as an adult, as a kid, you jump to that's a ghost, because what else could it be? That's how we're programmed. But what is it? Is it harder to believe there's some little alien kid up there with a couple joysticks? Say, let's screw with this kid. And they could be a cause of a lot of this stuff.
Well, it's funny because, people have asked me, and I'm sure Linda, Kimberly, you maybe have the same experience, Dane too, that, you're a paranormal investigator. They ask me if I believe in UFOs. Do I believe in cryptids? Do I believe in, other life signs and things like that? And I say, I've only had one experience with UFOs, but I definitely do because I I have to ask them, do you believe that I can talk to the dead? How can I judge you on UFOs when I talk to the dead? I talk to dead people,
Yeah.
So, Linda, I'm sure you feel the same way,
Exactly.
Yep. It's crazy. It's like, so this universe is so big, it's hard to believe that we're the only ones. So there has to be more. So why? So anything's possible, to be honest.
See, I remember, and this has always bothered me because this is before, our internet, but I remember reading a story that there was a wormhole up, area, and they had stuff that was that came through from, decades before. And it was like in the news, the regular news, and I never heard anything about, I can't find anything more about that, but that was like a very vivid memory of my childhood. They just nonchalantly on the news were like talking about that. And so I think about that on and up, okay, what about that wormhole, that veil, that different page in the chapter book that we all live in? How far can it go?
Well, and to the Friday the 13th, I don't know if it was a Friday the 13th, but March 13th here in Arizona, we had the lights. And that was, I think, 1990. Oh, gosh, 1990? Jimmy, help me out there.
The Phoenix Lights?
Yeah. Was that 1990?
90, 91, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that was March 13th, 1990 or 1991 that occurred, and I remember
sounds right.
I was driving home with my now ex-husband, but I was driving home and we saw it. We were coming home from dinner.
The Phoenix Lights?
Yeah. And we were looking at that going, what is that? What is that? And I mean, literally, I remember going down Cactus Road and seeing them up in the sky going, that's just the weirdest thing in the world, And then all of a sudden it comes out in the news, the Phoenix Lights, and it's still being talked about and investigated.
Even the media tried to explain it away by saying it was a Air Force thing, until it was the government. Was it the governor or mayor said, I saw it too? And
it was the governor. Yeah, it was the governor.
All these news stories that you're talking about, that like I think they fail to understand that most people are like us that are interested in this sort of thing. Like, we're not just a little tiny part of the population anymore. A lot of people are interested in this stuff. Right. And I said, how come these aren't major news stories instead of they passed a bill in Congress today? Like, why is that the top news when that story about the butterfly people of Joplin?
Mm-mm.
You know up there?
No.
Like, this is such an amazing story, and this should be the headlines for a decade. There was correct me if I'm wrong up there. There was a storm, like an earthquake, tornado, or something, that ripped through the town of Joplin, Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that devastating one. That they even had a documentary on it too. Netflix.
Yeah, this is a true story. I'm friends with John D'Souza. I'm writing a chapter in my book about this right now. Okay. But he was a real life X-Files investigator for the FBI, and he's one of the people that investigated all these children that Okay, anyways, so this disaster happened, and there was so many crushed buildings, people under debris that weren't found yet, and all these children, they were like young, like 10, 11 years old, if not younger. When they all started telling their story, they said these butterfly people helped us, whether they comforted them or led them away from danger.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at like a child might see an angel or an alien as a butterfly person. We don't really know what they were. Maybe they are butterfly people, but whatever it is, they separated, just like police do. They separate witnesses to get the stories, and they all describe the same exact thing. I was like, this is the most amazing story ever, and it never made one paper.
Wow.
It reminds me of the Mothman prophecies, and that still continues. Chicago, over by you, Dane, and Van Meter. I mean, there's still sightings of, a moth.
Like, these are amazing
Incredible.
stories that need to be told. That's why we
Yeah.
have to continue telling these stories. Thank you. The Green Children.
Well, Jimmy,
Open,
you have
whole
to,
other story.
well, Jimmy, you have to come on when we do a cryptid show.
All right.
The Green Children are amazing.
The Green Children,
I'm gonna
right?
hold you to it.
Yeah.
That story's dying because nobody tells it anymore, and that's also a chapter in my upcoming new book. Thank you.
Okay, this is interesting. So my sister and I, it was on Christmas Eve vividly, and we look up in the sky. This big flash of green light comes through my room, and my sister and I saw it, and we found one documentation like in the early 2000s that someone else saw it, but nobody else saw it. Like, how did not anybody find that and like make a news story out of it? It's so weird.
What'd you say it was green?
Yeah, it's like a green flash.
Yeah.
And
that reminded me about 4 years ago, me and Bill Hall, who we wrote the first book together, we were driving. I said I already saw my share of UFOs in my life. I said everyone was different, a whole different kind of looking thing, and they weren't a dot in the sky. They were right over my head. A spiked one, a saucer one, what do you call it? Elliptical one, whatever. So I was driving home from one of our book talks, and I can't see that well in the dark, so I took all side roads to get home, and I was the only person on the road, and I'm going up this hill, and at the top of the hill I could see 4 green, almost like diamond shaped, like there was 4. I can't put, where's my finger? There was 4, but there was 4 points where there were like a green ball, like figure like 4 bright green tennis balls making a like almost a kite shaped thing, and it was going right. It was bright green, and it was going right across the horizon. And I'm thinking, I was like, what? Another UFO now? I mean, it's not a drone. It's not. Nothing's green in our that we see in the sky. So I like an idiot, I would tell anybody, get out of the car and take pictures of it. As I'm driving, I'm snapping my phone into the windshield, trying to take pictures of this thing like an idiot into my windshield. So about half a mile up the road, it went past, and I stopped, and I'm looking at my pictures, and of course they're all of my windshield. I got one glimmer of green, but it's not proving anything. So for the next, I reported it immediately when I have friends at MUFON. I reported it immediately to see if anybody else had any similar sightings at that time, because I stopped immediately and said, this is what I saw. I drew it. This is what time it was. This is where it was. So nothing. And then I kept watching the internet, and I'm in Connecticut, and then this was on the next Tuesday, which was like 3 days later, somebody from Massachusetts shared a video on YouTube. Did anybody see this? And it was the same bright green 4 things going across the screen that I saw in Connecticut. And then I'm thinking about it, how big it was in the sky, and I thought it was kind of small. But then when you think about it, it's like if something's that big in the sky way over there, that could be hundreds of yards.
Right.
It's not a tiny thing.
That's true. That's true. Amy has a question for you, Jimmy.
So I think I've asked the team last time, do you feel like people who have had UFO experiences or abducted by aliens, I know a lot of people say blood type has a lot to do with it too. Like,
I've heard that too.
What type? Blood type?
Like RH negative is more likely to be abducted by aliens.
They say RH negative is alien blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know the science of it, but I've heard that a lot.
I've just heard that a lot, like in the paranormal community. So I just wanted your opinion on it.
Yeah, I did hear that. And it also seems to the same people that I feel really bad because, like, there's people that they call themselves UFO experts, and they're speaking all over the country as a UFO expert, but they've never seen one. But just because they've studied on it and they could talk about any case there is, they do talks and stuff. And it was like a stupid somebody like me who wasn't searching for this, or you get to see, like, that I know of 4 major incidences. My point is, I think the people that see them all throughout their lifetime. If you already see when you're going to see them, you're going to keep seeing them, and some people just never do for some reason.
Amy, wasn't so the negative RH, but wasn't it like another blood type too? Like
Oh,
what's the most rare blood type? Is it
Oh.
negative AB or something like that?
O negative and
Type
AB.
O, right?
Yeah.
I think AB, is it AB negative, Nico?
Yeah,
Something
AB
like that?
negative and then
Yeah,
O
so
negative.
I had heard it was the AB
B-
negative.
Yeah, I do too.
I know B negative is pretty rare too. I think it's like 4% of the population. Don't quote me on it, but I think it's AB. I think you guys are correct on that.
Yeah, I think that's what I was hearing too. It's one of the most rare blood types is the most apt to be abducted.
Yeah.
So T or negative RH, yeah.
Do you guys know
I go
who
down to
who Dr. Stephen Greer is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Dr. Stephen Greer is I can't remember what his title was. He's a scientist by nature, but he is completely into UFOs. He has
Oh, no.
circles. He like teaches people how to connect with alien life. I would say, so I don't make a mockery of it. Look him up, and then
Yeah.
you can kind of go from there. Yeah, but it's fascinating the work that he does and the things that he's done to kind of counteract the naysayers in the government. He used to be a government employee.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We're going to have a UFO researcher coming on probably July, I think. Pam's husband. He
Oh yeah,
wrote-
Jeff one.
Yeah, he did that book. I got it. I read it. I loved it. It was a great book.
I'm going to read it now.
He's coming on probably next month, I would say.
If anybody
That's
wants
great.
to come on and join us, they're welcome.
And I know that I've been trying to get out there to Tucson. It's about a 2-hour drive, but my girlfriend Patty and I and Gretchen were trying to get down there to see the lights because they do migrate. And at this point or this month, I think it's more like at 9 or 10 o'clock at night that the lights are migrating. And so he said, just be prepared to be up late to be able to watch those. So
yeah, that's what he says in his book. And it's very interesting. I will advise to get it. I'm trying to think the name of it.
Hey, fellas.
Something
Yeah.
that tracks the Tucson lights, maybe.
yeah, let me look it up here. I can look at, hang on. I'll get on Facebook real quick.
Hey, fellas, while you're looking, because I'm so animated with my hands talking, I just knocked over my 16-ounce coffee all over the floor. I'm cleaning the carpet right now.
Oh,
And guess what? I said I was more excited about UFO stuff, and I got invited out of the blue, no pun intended, to the Exeter UFO Festival. I think it's September.
Where is that at?
Exeter, New Hampshire. I guess there's a big incident there in 1980, and I don't remember honestly. It's a big incident that happened there, and they asked me to be a speaker.
Oh, that didn't track well.
I'm very excited.
hey, Sips, let's all go on a road trip to New Hampshire.
Yes, let's do it.
Please
I'm
do.
down. I'm down.
I'm game.
Gotta come to Iowa first so we can all leave together as a game.
We'll put the link in the chat. I don't think it came through, but anyway, it's called "How I Tracked UFOs in Tucson" is the name of the book. So.
Yeah, and it is a good book. He has one about the Phoenix Lights too. Was his
Correct.
first book.
Right.
Yeah, and this book I just love it. I was really infatuated with it. I finished it in one day. It was like, wow, I got to finish this. It was good.
See if you
It's not
guys
long.
agree with me.
No, it's not a long book.
It's like 80 pages, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
80 pages. Yeah.
See if you guys agree with me. The scariest UFO incident to me, and I still have nightmares thinking about these people's faces, is Betty and Barney Hill. Do you remember
Oh, yeah. I do know about them.
that famous picture of them just standing there like so dead-eyed?
Yeah.
Like, "Ugh."
Devoid.
Creepy.
See, I almost feel like I'm more afraid of aliens than I am spirits. Maybe I can relate to
Same.
spirits more.
You know
They're
what?
kind
The
of out there,
spirits,
but the aliens
Me
are so
too.
they
unknown.
really rarely hurt somebody.
Yeah, like I don't know the threat. I can guess the threat on spirits, but aliens.
But is it also alien so Hollywoodized though too? That's like kind of like Hollywood is kind of making them scary. Is that
You're getting probed.
Well, they're also doing that with the paranormal world too,
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
make them
exactly.
scary. I mean, I can't say the name on the podcast, but he's 99.9% of the time always possessed. He's always all of his investigations are demonic. It's all about the
Which one
TV
you're
show.
talking about? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
totally,
more.
totally don't operate that way.
It's funny that we
I
all know
don't
what you're
either.
talking about.
I agree with
I
you.
don't
I'm more
either.
scared.
Say about that alien. I'm going to say about the Kimberly. What you were saying is that I because the experience that I had, even though I feel like the outcome was a positive thing, the trauma of the experience is still there. So there's a fear.
It's a
'Cause
PTSD.
I was absolutely terrified. The only thing that made me not lose my shit was the fact that I could feel my husband's arm around me. So I felt somewhat safe. But that was it. Like, so I definitely have a fear. Interesting, like I'm not afraid of spirit by any means. But I'm certainly,
Hey, do you guys ever hear any stories about Mount Shasta?
yeah, absolutely. I was actually supposed to go to Mount Shasta with a couple of my other friends. They ended up going without me because I ended up getting sick. But they had fascinating experiences there.
Right here.
Well, Chrissy, I went to the Hellfire Club in Ireland, and let me tell you, Linda, you'd put your hand on the wall and feel that wall, and you'd be like, total.
Yeah, great.
It was really,
Awesome.
it was a great bucket list item to check off. But let me tell you, the energy in that building is still as traumatic as what it was back when it was an operating club. Let's put
I
it that
want to
way.
go to the Hellfire Club in Ireland.
It was, let me tell you, it was the hour and a half hike up that road to get up there. And I mean, I did a video and I posted on Facebook, and it was like, you can hear me. I'm out of breath. I'm not in the best of shape anymore.
Are you my friend on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go check out that video for Hellfire Club.
Because my eyes, I can't read the names.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
Well, you guys, it's almost at the 2-hour mark. So, any last thoughts before we say goodbye?
Thank you, guys. This was awesome. It was wonderful meeting Dane and Kimberly and Linda and Jimmy. It's always nice having you on.
Add me, fellas.
Yeah,
thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
you're
definitely
welcome.
stay in touch. You know?
Can you show Linda the mask with warning this time? Since
Oh my gosh.
That popped in on the screen while you were, I was like entranced about.
Okay, that's like very triggering for me.
I can protect you. I can protect you. I have this. It's a space ray gun. They don't like that.
Well, you guys, it's been so much fun. I can do this almost the rest of the night.
We'll definitely have to do this again.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next Friday the 13th, we have to do this again.
I'm trying to get my younger sister because she's really interested in the paranormal too, and she's had her own experiences on. Yeah, she has. We don't look related, but it's okay.
I still can't see. I still.
But hopefully she'll be on.
Yeah.
Too, so you guys can meet her.
So, well, I just want everybody many blessings, especially on this fabulous.
Because you guys are located more towards Des Moines, right?
Yeah.
Dang it.
And then,
so-
Kimberly and Linda. Yeah, go ahead.
My sister and I are thinking about looking up a haunted location and maybe going there. Maybe we can meet up with some of you guys. If you guys, you don't have to answer right now. No pressure. I know we're live right now, but if you guys want to,
Meet in the middle.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
Come to Braemar County Historical Society. That
Yeah.
is cool.
Let me see those nails again.
What's that?
Let me see your nails again.
Oh, my nails?
Yeah, what color do you have? Purple.
They're
Purple.
purple cat eye.
Holy
Yeah,
mackerel, you both have
Mine are
purple.
purple too.
Mine are purple just because of mold bacteria. But
My girlfriend, look at my girlfriend's hands are orange and white.
where is
Linda,
she?
Linda, what color are your nails?
All natural.
Oh, natural.
Holy mackerel. Holy
Shocker.
mackerel.
Well, Dane, Nico, how about your nails? We can't leave you guys out.
Just white. Look at that. Pearly white.
No natural. Natural.
I can't do acrylics anymore.
And remember, next time we all get together, we have to have that Iowa Hot Guys merch ready.
Yes.
I know.
Yes,
You gotta get
yes.
those firemen.
I think Kimberly's in
Firemen
charge
on
of
it.
that, right?
Okay, I'll work on that.
Work on that.
Yes. Hey, I do have Colleen. I do have you guys' shirt here, though. See,
Right.
it glows in
Yeah.
the dark, you guys. It glows in the dark.
I need to
Holy
get you one of
mackerel.
mine, my medium red shirts. I got to get you one of mine too.
Yes,
I'll
you
send
do.
you one.
I
Yeah,
need
we'll
an
get you
extra
one
large
too.
I'll wear
Send
medium
you one.
red
yours.
shirt.
I'll wear yours.
What, Dane?
Yeah,
She
we'll
would
send you
take
one
mine
too.
away.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Send Dane one.
Yep, absolutely.
So, okay, you guys. It was nice to hang out. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Have a blessed, happy Friday the 13th. And Jimmy, thank you for popping in. You're welcome to pop in anytime.
Well, for a minute.
Thank you.
I'll reach out to you guys with about my sister and I and about meeting up with you guys.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
So much
She
fun.
talks. She talks. No, you can't. No, you are too young to come on any ghost hunt. Cute children, they always want to join. You're like, no, you cannot.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, blessings to all.
It was
Subscribe.
lovely seeing you guys and meeting you, Jimmy. I know I didn't
Have-
really get to talk
Thank
to you.
you. Have a
Thank you.
blessed day and evening.
You as
No,
well.
and to all the fathers out there, happy Father's Day too.
Happy
Thank
Father's
Yeah,
you.
Day.
happy Father's Day to all the fathers in the chat and all the single mommies out there that's doing the father's job.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it was lovely seeing you guys go down the rabbit hole of the blood type. See what
Yeah.
you want to see. What
That's an
you guys
interesting
do
one.
about it next time we meet up.
Yeah. We do this soon.
Go now.
Yeah.
Go now.
Go down the
Bye.
rabbit hole.
Bye.
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 Have a great night. Bye
Bye,
bye.
guys.
Bye.
I love you, Mom.
No.